Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to part 2 of my coverage for Wonhobby Spring 2022. Last time we talked about everything that was in the gallery, but this time we're talking about figures that were only at the event itself. And it's mostly scale figures this time, so if you were a little burnt out from last time's episode, thankfully we have a bunch of scales to go over this time. Won't be nearly as long, but there are a bunch of figure announcements to show off. So let's just start talking about them. Figure freeing is a great place to start. I know a lot of people like bunny figures, and they had a few to show off at this event. First up was Alba from New Game, which was really surprising. I didn't think New Game was going to get figures. There's another one coming up in just a second, but I think the color choices that were chosen for Alba are fantastic. I really love the rich, royal blue that they went for her outfit. It's just a really lovely shade of blue that I think should be used more often on these bunny girl figures. Now, I do wish that the bunny outfit itself was a little bit more interesting. It's basically the most generic bunny outfit there is. Maybe the armbands are a little different, I don't really recall, but that's about all you're really getting. It is a very standard bunny outfit, and in a very standard pose, which is kind of boring. I really wish this didn't feel so much like a template, because New Game deserves a little bit better than that. But either way, this is pretty cute. I feel like the art style on her face isn't fully capturing New Game's art style, which is a really important aspect of the series. It's almost there, but it's not quite New Game, so I really hope this looks a little bit better in the promotional shots, but as far as I can tell right now, it looks fine. It is still very cute, and I think it is a good announcement, but it just doesn't really push itself to be special. And on top of Alba, Hifumi is also getting a bunny girl figure. And unfortunately, I feel like my complaints still carry over into this one. It's still a generic pose. It still feels like a template for a bunny figure. And while I do think that black is a good choice for Hifumi, I just can't help but feel like it's not nearly as nice of a color as the royal blue. I do think her face looks a little bit better than Alba's if I had to choose between the two. It does look a little bit cuter to me, but there is something missing on this figure. Her mole on her chest isn't there. And I wouldn't have even realized it if I didn't look at the comments, but there is supposed to be a mole on her chest, and it's just nowhere to be found, at least in the photos that I'm looking at. If enough people complain, they'll surely fix it. I know they've done that in the past, so if that bothers you, maybe find a way to get your voice heard. I don't really know how that works. Hopefully the Japanese audience does say something about it so that they do touch up this figure. They're both very cute. I just can't help but feel like they're a bit generic, unfortunately. On the opposite side of things, though, is Ryobi from Senran Kagura. This is a very interesting bunny figure, not to mention her butt is gigantic, which is great. She's got a pear-shaped body, which is not something we always see on bunny figures, and it's represented really, really well here. But more importantly, the outfit itself is very different. It kind of looks like a dominatrix thing, I guess. She definitely looks like she's about to do something a little inappropriate, I suppose. I don't know what that candle is specifically supposed to be used for, but, I guess use your imagination. But yeah, the costume itself just looks so much better than I'm used to seeing on bunny girl figures. Even the stockings don't look generic, which is really weird to say, because, why would they even bother changing up the stockings? But they did. In fact, this almost feels like it doesn't even need to be a bunny figure, you know what I mean? You could take away the bunny ears and it still would work. Also, her hair sculpt looks really nice as well. There's just a lot more here to appreciate. And because these two come in pairs as well, Riona is also getting a bunny girl figure. And again, much more radically different costume. She's got locks on her top and around her neck. Very interesting. I think she's even chained down with her ankles. But when I look at her and then I go back to Ryobi, it really feels like these two are going to be cast off. It's very obvious when you look at Riona, around her stomach, that costume really feels like it could just come off. So yeah, we might be dealing with a potential cast off here. Very phenomenal looking bunny figures in my opinion. They definitely nailed the art style of Senran Kagura 2, which can't always be said about freeing for some reason. Sometimes they do mess up the faces, but I feel like they really nailed it with these. When you look at these two and then you compare them to the New Game figures, it's like night and day. There's so much more effort here that there's a clear winner. Even if you don't like Senran Kagura, I think you can admit that these two figures look a lot better. From the sculpting to the outfits themselves, even the way they're painted, they're just a little bit more interesting because of those outfits. They just lend themselves to having a bit more going on. So yeah, in the end, I think these are two great bunnies, probably the best I've seen in a while. And if they're cast off, they're going to be even better, but at the expense of costing probably a good chunk more money. So prepare your wallets if you want these two, but they're probably going to be worth it, even if you don't want to admit it or pay the price that they're asking. And last up for freeing was a 1/4 scale figure of Melody, who I believe is from Melon Books, that Dojin store. Not a bunny girl this time around, but instead just focusing on her underwear and the design of it. Very pretty, sexy underwear at that. This figure just has a bit more of a sense of beauty to it that you respectfully look at, or at least try to. The soft color palette on this one is very appealing, like the hair is such a wonderful shade of pink, and that green is so easy on the eyes. These soft colors just work so well with her gentle expression and pose. Gotta love the garter belts too, always a plus in my opinion. Alright, we're moving on to Kadokawa, and first up is Roxanne, a figure we have seen in the past, but it wasn't painted, now it is, and unfortunately, I just don't really get the, appeal of this one unless you know the character and you love her. Like, I haven't seen the show, or the manga, or the light novel, or wherever this character is from, so to me, this just feels very generic and basic. Like, I don't like her face, I don't like the way they painted her hair, and then all I can really appreciate is, the way they sculpted her stomach, I guess. I don't really see anything to really grab my attention here. This just seems like you have to know the character to really appreciate it, and unfortunately, I don't. This is the Uminosachi Bunny Girl figure from a couple of cuckoos. Now, we just got done talking about a bunch of Bunny Girl figures from Freeing, so what could I possibly say here? Well, while I don't think the stockings look nearly as good as Freeing's, which does make sense since that's all they really do, I really do like the pose she's in, like how she's embarrassed about the outfit she's wearing and adjusting her costume around the butt. Like, why is this the first time I'm seeing this in a while? I don't remember every bunny figure that gets made, but why doesn't Freeing ever do this? It's such an obvious way to add a ton of personality into a bunny girl figure because tons of anime girls would totally be doing this. They wouldn't want to show off their body when thrown into a costume like this, so I'm gonna give them props. This is a great concept. And she's just also in a really nice shade of light blue, plus the added chocolate heart is just another thing that adds to the personality of this figure. This is a good one. Alright, next up is the Powered Bunny from Arms Note. I believe we've seen this figure in the past from the backside for some reason. I don't remember seeing her from the front before, but I do have a vivid memory of seeing what her back looked like. I feel like this should look cooler and a little sexier than it actually does, but right now I can't help but be, whelmed by it. I'm not really impressed at what I'm looking at, and I think it's kind of the pose's fault. I don't really like the pose here. I don't know what this figure is trying to convey with this pose. Like, she's trying to adjust her outfit, I guess, but it doesn't really feel powerful, but it also doesn't really look that sexy either. I can appreciate her body sculpt just fine. She obviously is a very curvy character, and the gun will look good when it's painted too, but I just don't really get what there is to be excited about this one. I'm sure this one will look a lot better once it's finally painted, but we're waiting a long time to see this, and I just don't really get why there is any reason to be excited for it. But no prototypes on these last few, but they're making Race Queen figures for Aqua and Megumin. And I like that both of them are very different. They're not wearing the same costume, they're not holding the same thing. You know, Aqua has an umbrella, Megumin has the flag. If I had to choose one for some reason right now, I'd say I like Aqua's a little bit more. Just kind of dig her costume a tiny bit more than Megumin's, but they're both very cute, and I'm excited to see more about them. And the last figure from Kadokawa was this Rias figure from High School DxD, basically a Shiramoku bikini version, their version of a wedding figure plus bikini figure. I don't really get the mixing of the two, not really my kind of thing. But, I mean, I guess that's kind of nice. I know Kadokawa has made a bunch of, wedding/bikini figures, but I don't think we've seen a lot of Shiramoku designs, so that's kind of different. But, yeah, interesting nonetheless. Phat Company was also in attendance and had a few things to show off. First up was the Echidna wedding dress figure, so another wedding figure, but this time a bit more traditional, sorta. Black isn't really a color for a wedding, but it does make sense here considering black is her primary color. But I gotta hand it to them, the sculpting of this dress looks fantastic. Against her skin, and specifically behind her as she lifts it up, it's just some excellent craftsmanship. But when we look at some of the photos, we get to appreciate the finer details of the flower pattern. I think it's a flower pattern. Regardless of what it is, it looks really nice up close. Color palette on this figure is just great overall. For being mostly black, it's surprisingly eye-catching. I guess that's thanks to the type of translucent plastic and gradients being used, but also the few hints of purple in the flowers and ribbons along her legs go a long way. It's a rather pretty figure, I like it. This is Rule Enforcer from Girls Frontline. I don't believe this is her normal outfit at all, more so dressed in a fancy dress instead, holding a wine glass and just looking very elegant overall. Now, I know it's part of her design, but the megaphone is such an eyesore on this figure. I mean, come on, I get that it's gotta be her thing, and it's at least color coordinated and all that, but it just looks stupid. But otherwise, she's really pretty. And similar to Echidna, her gold dress looks very nice, but you really need to zoom in on it to appreciate the gold, flakes or glitter that's applied to it. It adds a lot of depth to this otherwise nice but simple dress that could be completely overlooked if you just glance at this one photo. I really like all the butterflies decorating her hair too. Honestly, all the gold everywhere on this figure just looks super nice and pretty. And the sculpting details on her leggings and top are going the extra mile to make sure they have some nice realism to the creases. I guess that giant case behind her has a gun in it. That's neat, I guess. Probably can't take it out, but it does make for a nice simple backdrop for this figure. Of course, it wouldn't be an event without a Kurumi, but this one's a little different, so that's good. A few unsightly support rods, unfortunately, but with that kind of pose, you pretty much need all the help you can get to avoid any leaning. So yeah, a rather dynamic pose, like she's in the middle of fighting someone. Got some effect parts swirling on the base, and the pages of the book are like rapidly turning. There's some good energy, some good motion to this figure. I just love figures that aren't just standing around, you know what I mean? And her outfit looks to be rather intricate, so I gotta imagine once painted she's going to look great. This seems like a Kurumi to definitely keep an eye on. Alright, so Noelle from Hololive has actually not been updated, but I just wanted to briefly mention her because of some added photos from the event. I really need to see this figure colored because I still think her face is off. It doesn't really look quite like her in my opinion. Also, whoever is sculpting this figure went absolutely overboard on her belly button. It's like she's not wearing anything, but she actually is, so why is it so defined? I'm gonna guess that part is just not done yet. Also, here's a company that didn't forget the mole, so you get points for that one, Phat, but you really need to paint this one soon because I just can't make a call on if I like this one or not. Wing had their rem to show off, the really basic, really simple rem, which I actually don't dislike, despite how that description makes it seem like I do. We're getting to the point where there's like 500 crazy costume rems and then like 20 normal maid outfit rems, and most of the maid outfit versions these days are made by prize figure companies. I even kinda like it for its simplicity. Her cute, gentle smile goes a long way. But since it's Wing, it's probably gonna cost more than it should, and then people won't be happy, and then I won't be happy, and then no one wins. But if this was like a 15,000 yen figure, it would be a banger. There was also Hamet from False Lander again at this event, and nothing has changed, but I thought it was interesting that someone took photos from below her so that we could see her eyes for the first time. Which, if I'm gonna be honest, I kinda just assumed she wouldn't have any. Though that would be kinda amateurish to not put any eye decals on her, so yeah. Frankly, it just makes this figure look cuter to me. I already really like this one, but now the vibe is just completely different. She's my favorite of the False Landers, so I'm the most tempted to pick her up, and now I'm feeling even more likely to do so. Along with Hamet, Lance from False Lander also got her prototype. Every figure from False Lander has such a great design to it, and even in this unpainted prototype, it's hard to not appreciate all the details that are going into these figures. Samurai, for instance, looked fantastic, and these two have a somewhat similar color scheme to them, so I'm just going to assume that I'm going to really like this one once she's painted. I mean, to be fair, the poses are very basic, but I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be, like these are figures that are based on artwork. Still, I think it would be more interesting to have them swinging their weapons around or something, but it is what it is. Still looking forward to seeing more of this one. Eriko from Princess Connect Redive was painted, and I didn't think this would be what she looked like, color-wise I mean. I thought there would be more green on this figure in abundance, but in fact there's none. I guess that's what happens when you don't know a character though. Instead, it's a much more dark, edgy palette, which hey, I like me some reds and purples, so it's all good. In fact, I think the colors on this one are fantastic all around. The armor pieces really stand out in such a great way. The metallic silver paint with the red running through it just looks phenomenal, and I actually really dig her face. I love the eye decals on this one. It's a great shade of purple, and you know, those horns that almost look like they're bleeding are pretty cool too. I think the overabundance of like sharp edges on this figure are what really make it stand out and be unique though. It's on the armor, the fur of the outfit, the horns obviously, and even her barbed ass tail is just full of spikes. Just lends herself to really looking like a twisted, evil girl. Though, as implied, I don't even know this character, but from her appearance, she looks bad in all the best ways. Aniplex really quickly did not have that much to show unless you count the Fate figures from last time, but hey, they were nice to remind us all that they were in fact making a Marin scale from Dress Up Darling, but have made zero progress on it. As you could probably tell, no other company has picked her up either. I don't understand this at all. It's the same thing with Komi. Like, how are companies not begging to make scale figures of these characters? I'm starting to get a little impatient here, honestly. If Aniplex is the only one making a Marin, I guess I'll have to go with them, but I was kinda hoping I'd have more choices. Also, yes, I do know that Eastream is making a Marin scale, but that doesn't really count since it's her cosplay. Either way, I guess I'll look forward to this one for now. There was also an update for the Pajama Megumin with Chamusuke from CA Works, which is, looking alright. The outfit itself is very cute, being in a cat sweatshirt and all that, and her pose going along with it looks adorable, but at this stage her face doesn't look quite right, so as it stands, I can't really be thrilled about this one. At least Chamusuke is looking good. Okay, next up is Wonderful Works. Their big figure of the event was the Swimsuit Sister bikini figure, and holy thick, I didn't think it would look so close to the artwork, but yeah, this is one thick anime lady. Like, goddamn, they are not messing around with this one. They want your horny bucks, and they're probably gonna get it. But I guess it's my fault for not realizing that once again we have the Ryza artist to thank. I should really learn their name at this point if they're gonna keep designing girls for figures. Man, Ryza really has left an impact on society in the best way, huh? But to stop drooling for a second, this sculpt really is nice. I mean, outside of the curves, swimsuit figures like this don't even really need to try, but I appreciate that her design has a bit going on. Like, she's got the sunglasses, the towel around her, and that belt that just seems to be there, so she's got a water bottle on hand at all times. Also, I think her feet sculpting looks really good as well. I will insert my bias where I must, and I gotta point it out when I see it. Either way, I'm gonna keep my eye on this one. I believe this Miku announcement is new as well. Wonderful Works is tackling the Racing Miku 2022 design, which we saw last time, except this time she's got a cool looking visor on, and I don't know what she's holding on to, but I think it's a fishing rod, at least that's what I assume it is. I don't know. Either way, I can't say I'm upset at them making more figures of this outfit, so I'm hoping it looks good. This last one we definitely seen before, but just in case you forgot, there's a vacation-style Miku heading our way as well, complete with her Racing Miku suitcase and a rather cute dress, which I really hope they nail because otherwise this figure's appeal will just really fall apart. Okay, and the worst figure of the event has got to be Hanyu from Miyuki. I hate to be such an asshole, but I don't understand what the hell they're thinking with this one. Basically, this figure is being repurposed from an already existing figure of this character where she's like carrying around a bunch of cream puffs and she's got like a really cute face. It was an adorable figure. But now the vibe has just completely been changed, but really not for the better. I get that they want to like do something different with this character, but why not just make a completely different mold? It's way too obvious that this is the same exact figure with a weapon in her hand and some really like tacked on effect parts. This really is one of the most lazy figures I've seen in quite some time. And if I could be blunt real quick, deserves no one's money. Alright, we're in the home stretch, everyone. Just gotta go over a few extra announcements from Good Smile Company and Max Factory really quick. Both Nobara and Kento's Figmas were shown off, and the one thing of note I want to talk about here is on Nobara. Her skirt's some sort of cloth material, I don't know what it is, but the point is that it's not plastic, and that's weird. Like, I understand the idea here, give her more posability by removing the plastic, but with half of her outfit being plastic, this just looks stupid in my opinion, and I don't think this was the right call. This is coming from someone who buys the Dorohedoro 30 figures, which feature realistic clothing as well, but all the clothes are fabric, so it makes more sense there. Back to the scale figures though, Good Smile Art Shanghai had a few concepts to show off. First up was Shinano from Azure Lane. If we're getting this entire backdrop in the figure, this is going to look insane. Not to mention the colors on this artwork are going to look so vibrant, and I already know I'm going to like the prototype, so I'm excited to see it. I really wonder if that like city backdrop is going to be part of the figure though. If so, I hope it's not tacky. Next up was Charybdis. Please tell me I pronounced that somewhat right, but again, another potentially huge scale figure depending on how committed they are to the artwork. Either way though, this one is actually more up my alley, whereas I like the background more in the previous one, I like the character design more here. Loving that outfit, super sexy. Both had the thigh fan service, but it's even better here. The fact that she looks like she's inviting me over to lay on her lap and have my ears cleaned out though with that tool is a vibe I guess I'm down for, sure. Another one from Azure Lane, Chen Hai, not promising insane bases, but still pretty nonetheless atop the branch. And it's gotta start somewhere, so I guess it could also have a lot of potential at the base of the tree. Then we're also getting a few figures from Artery Gear, weird name, never heard of it. Anyway, this is Neo and also Blue, so these two girls have a lot of mechanical body parts and weapons, which I'm down for. I love mechanical details on figures, normally that's reserved for Gunpla and whatnot, but now I get to appreciate it in a different way with like cute anime girls. Can't say no to that. And I think I'll end this episode with this figure here, Mama Raikau, Heroic Spirit Traveling Outfit version by Max Factory. And I hate to say it, but they're making some weird choices with this one that I'm really not down for. So if you've kept up with this one or maybe saw some older pictures, then you'd know this changed up quite a bit. Most obviously the boa, which went from a completely sculpted piece to now being some furry, fluffy bit of material, which is just straight up less impressive in every way imaginable. Hard to really be thrilled about that one. But she also seems to be less thick all around, and even her face has changed a bit, which now is starting to deviate from Raita's original art. Not gonna comment on the pattern being gone from the outfit because it's likely coming back once painted, but why are they changing it so much? What's the point of bringing this back if you're gonna downgrade it? I guess since she's not done, no one could say for sure, and surely this is still going to be a pretty figure, but like, it's really hard to not be upset when you see something you like, and then they take it away and give you something else. Just gonna sit back and kind of forget about this one till she goes up for pre-order, so I can give my final judgment there. And with that, we are finally done talking about Wonhobby. Thank you so much for watching. That was about an hour's worth of content between the two videos. I don't really know how to streamline these because I like to talk a lot. So, thanks for sticking around. You know, if you want to support the channel, subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video to help spread it around. Leave me a comment, helps with the algorithm and whatnot. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye.